Hello. Oh, hi, Sarah. Yeah, I just got back from the world up above. Just in time, too, for the children's corner.
When I'm sitting around with my homework all done and there's nothing to do, I call all of my friends, they don't answer the phone. Where have they gone to? Where do you go?
We're gonna go to the children's corner. Where do you go? We're gonna go to the children's corner. Where do you go? We're gonna go to the children's corner. Where do you go?
I haven't had waffles in forever. Okay. Can hardly wait to try that recipe that Royce gave me. Alright. Alright. Here's our waffle iron. Now all I have to do is put oil on it. Hey, good day to you all. Sheriff Stephen J. here, and welcome to the Children's Corner. As you can see, I'm going to try to take a stab at making waffles. Yep, all I have to do now is put some oil on the top and bottom of the waffle iron so that the waffles don't stick to the iron. Turn on my heat to warm it up. Then I get my ingredients and put them all in a big bowl, mix them all up so they're nice and smooth, pour the batter in, close the lid, and when the bottom part is cooked, I flip it over, it cooks the other side, and I have perfectly made waffles. Well, I'm not a cook, so we're going to see if they come out perfectly made. And I have ingredients right here for the batter. I got this from our Alphabet Chef Royce earlier today. Here we go. 2 eggs, 2 cups flour, 1 3/4 cups milk, 1/2 cup vegetable oil, 1 tablespoon white sugar, 4 teaspoons baking powder, 1/4 teaspoons salt, and 1/2 teaspoons vanilla extract. And let's not forget, when all is said and done, we're gonna cover these waffles with that sweet, pure maple syrup. And I'm not talking about the fake stuff. I'm talking about the real maple syrup. Matter of fact, let me go get some. I'll show it to you right now. Hold on. Oh man, bottle fell over. Well, looks like we have a bit of a problem. This was full yesterday. I guess I won't be making any waffles today. Our biggest problem is the world of the magical couch doesn't have pure maple syrup. Pure maple syrup only comes from the world up above. And it only comes from a specific place in the world up above. And that would be the northern east coast of North America.
Oh, that was good. They won't feed me? I'll feed myself. Uh-oh. I think I'm getting a sugar rush.
So I guess I'm going to have to be going up into the world up above to get more maple syrup. And I was going up there anyway. While I'm up there, I guess I could stop by the Kinney Sugar House and pick up some maple syrup. Maybe even some of Mary Ann's maple sugar candy. Yeah. I'm going to go by the Aldermere Farm as well. And if my friend Sarah is in, she can explain all this a lot better than I can. So, let's get going. Well, everybody, here we are in the world up above, and we're at the Aldermere Farm. And we're going to meet somebody that is going to tell us exactly where we get maple syrup. Not only that, she's going to show us how we get the maple syrup. So come on and follow me and we'll go meet her.
Over here, Sheriff Stephen J.
Hey, Sarah. I'm glad to see you again.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, I was down in the world of the magical couch in the town of the Children's Corner in my house, and I was going to have waffles for breakfast. And alas, I was out of maple syrup. So I was on my way up here. I thought I'd come into the world up above and get some maple syrup, and I thought, well, stop by the Aldemir Farm.
Here at Aldemir Farm, we teach people the whole process of making maple syrup, from tapping to gathering and then boiling sap to make your final product of maple syrup. And today I'm going to show
Okay.
you what it's like to tap a tree.
All right, well,
Yeah.
what is this exactly?
Yeah, so this is a diagram that we use when we're teaching folks, because there's actually kind of a lot of rules about tapping trees.
Okay.
So that you don't harm or even kill the tree.
Okay.
You want to be able to tap the tree, get the sap, and make sure that the tree is healthy. Some of the first rules are that you have to identify the right tree to tap. And again, we're talking about maple syrup, so we're going to be tapping sugar maple trees. You
So what you're saying is there's a certain type of maple tree
Yes.
that you get the maple syrup from. Not, you just don't go to any maple tree and get maple syrup.
That's right. You're not going to get the real maple syrup unless
Yeah.
you get it from sugar maples or red maples.
Oh, I gotta have that maple
Yeah.
syrup. I love maple syrup. I love maple syrup.
So when you're identifying sugar maples, we have another little diagram here. You're typically going to want to get your maple sap from a sugar maple, rock maple, hard maple, which has the lovely 5-lobed maple leaf that we're so used to.
yeah.
Okay.
Used to
And
that.
typically you want to identify those trees in the fall when they actually have leaves. But you can also identify maple by its bark or its fruit, has those kind of whirligig type of fruit, or also looking at the limbs, and they'll have directly opposing limbs. If you think about, sometimes you see alternating limbs.
Mm-hmm.
We can look at them more closely when we're out in the sugar bush.
Oh, the sugar
The
bush.
sugar bush.
Oh,
And
yes.
The sugar bush.
Getting
is-
close. Those waffles are calling
I
me.
know, right? The sugar bush is a grouping of maple trees.
How much sap does it take to make 1 gallon of maple syrup?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, typically you need 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup.
Wow.
Yes, and one tree can give you anywhere between 5 gallons to maybe even 30 gallons of sap. Just
Wow.
depends on the temperature and the season. There's a lot of different things that are involved. So once we've identified the right tree, we're out there in the sugar bush, we see the right tree, then we have to determine how many taps the maple tree can take. But the tree must be at least 30 inches in circumference. And circumference is around the tree. We measure, we
The
take
round
our...
circle.
Yes. we-
Circumference. That's a good
Circumference.
word of interest.
There you go.
Circumference. C-I-R-C-U-M-F-E-R-E-N-C-E. Circumference.
Circumference.
Meaning the length of a line that goes around something that makes up a circle or round object.
In order for the tree to take 1 tap, you need 30 inches in circumference.
Okay.
If the tree is 54 inches or more, it can take 2 taps, or it can take 3 taps if it's 72 inches or more. And we typically do not put more than 3 taps in a tree.
How many years can you tap a tree?
Well, I just read the other day that there's even been trees tapped for 100 years. We have to stay away from old tap holes. So when we're over in the sugar bush, you're going to see some maple trees that have little round scars from their taps from previous years. And we want to stay away from those. We want to drill no closer than 6 inches from each side of an old tap hole, and no closer than 2 feet above or below an old tap hole. And typically we want to stay away from sort of any kind of blemished bark. If you see here, we wouldn't want to tap inside, any kind of scar there. And typically want to tap around 3 to 4 feet high if you can.
Okay.
That's where you're going to get the best flow, and that's what's happening. Sap is flowing through the trees. You want your temperatures to be below freezing at night and above freezing about 40 degrees during the day in order to have the prime conditions for the sap to be flowing well. Maple sugaring season is typically only 2 to 3.5 weeks long.
Wow.
And so that's, not only is the process of making maple syrup intensive as far as tapping and boiling, but it's such a short season. So that's those are some of the reasons why you might pay a little more for your real
yeah.
maple
But
sugar.
you know what? I love maple syrup, and I will
That's
pay.
right.
I will pay. So it says down here, cover your bucket. So I take it you put
Yes.
buckets under the tree.
Yeah, so we're going to be drilling in the tree just like this image here, and we have this is the top of a bucket here that actually has this piece here that may be a word you've never heard before, but this is called a spile.
Spile.
Spile. And
S-P-I-L-E, spile.
Yes.
Right here.
Yeah,
That-
and you
and
see there's a
that's-
hole there.
Nice. Oh,
and
I
we'll
get you.
tap. This is you can also call it a tap, and we'll tap this into the tree, and the sap will flow through that hole, and it will come out here. There's a little drip area. And
Oh, nice.
and this will sit right on your bucket, and
fun.
this will cover your bucket to keep out leaves and dirt and bugs.
Well, I'm ready.
Me too.
I'm ready.
I'm
All right,
ready.
I'll follow you. Where are we going?
All right, we're going to the sugar bush.
Okay, where's the sugar bush?
We're going that way.
That way. All right. I'm following you after you.
All right.
Well, everybody, here we are. We're at a maple tree, and Sarah here is going to show us how to tap the maple tree. Isn't that right, Sarah?
That's right.
So what kind of maple tree is this?
This is a sugar maple. So
Tell
we're
us.
here in a stand of maple trees. Again, we're out in the sugar bush. And this is a tree that I would say might take maybe 1 or 2 taps, but we need to measure the circumference of the tree in order to determine that.
The roundness.
The roundness, yes. We
Gotcha.
do know that this is a maple based on the bark. You get this kind of long, stringy bark like this. And we see old tap holes that we have tapped this tree for many years. So we're at the right tree, which is a great start. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our measuring tape, and I'm going to get you to reach around
Sure.
here. And we're
Alright.
going to measure around, I'm going to guess here from the bottom of the tree up here to about 3 feet, okay? And I see that it is 4 feet, about 4 feet 5 inches,
Okay.
okay? And so since we know how much a foot is, then I believe
A
this
foot is what?
12 inches.
That's right.
Yeah,
1 foot equals 12 inches.
yes.
That's correct.
So 4 feet is 48 inches, right? Plus 5 more inches, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. Okay.
Is that right?
Is that right?
That's right.
That's right. Excellent. So this tree could take 2 taps if we wanted to.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. We're going to put in 1 tap
Okay.
with our neat spile and our bucket.
Or spile.
Yeah, we're going to drill a hole. And again, this will sit right in the tree. We're going to drill about a 2-inch hole.
Sounds
Okay.
great. Well, if you're going to be drilling,
Yeah.
I'm going to be moving.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what, you go ahead and do that, and I'm going to stand over here and watch you.
Perfect.
Great.
So now I have my drill, all right, and I have a very specific drill bit that works with the size of my spile, and now I need to kind of choose the right area on the tree. So I think this area looks pretty good right here. So I'm going to take my drill, and I want to drill at an angle. I want gravity to help pull the sap down and drip down out of the tree. So we're going to drill at an angle. And I think that looks pretty good there. Oh, look, you can see it dripping already,
my
coming right.
gosh.
This is the
Wait a
sap
minute.
coming
Oh my
right
gosh.
out of the tree. See if I can do this right. There we go. So you can see it's already dripping out.
Oh, yeah.
And usually I find a little stick and I help clean this hole right out. You want it to be as clean as you can so that the sap will flow nicely out. Gonna pull all that tree stuff out, and you can see it dripping here. So a lot of people think the sap coming out of the tree is the sticky, gooey stuff, the already maple syrup, but it's very light, almost water. It's about 2% sugar at this point, and when it's ready to be maple sugar, that's 66% sugar. So we've got to boil a lot of water out of that sap to make the maple sugar, maple syrup. So you need your spile, And typically, so we'll get our spile in here into the hole. Okay. And then you want to, there's kind of a sound, the kind of a neat sound. You want to hear a tink, 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 thud. And that's how you know that your tap or your spile is in the tree at the right point.
Wow.
Okay? So kind of listen up here. Kind of hear it's a different, a little bit different sound. Oh, look there, it's
Look
dripping
at
out
that.
already.
Look at that.
It's coming right out. That's a good sign, you know, your tap's in well. One of my first things I like to do is to take a little taste of it, and it's nice and lightly sweet, not too much. And then one of the last things we need to do is to put our bucket here.
Wait, just a minute.
Okay.
I got to taste it here.
Okay.
All right. You know, I put the pink bag on the ground there. I almost tripped over it. Okay.
There you go. Just lightly sweet.
It's
Very
very,
lightly sweet.
yeah, it's not like a sap. It's like
No.
really like water.
It's like water, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Wow, no wonder you got to boil all that water
Gotta
out to get
boil
down
all
to
that water
sweetness.
out.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
then we're gonna hook our bucket right on there. Make sure it's on there. And we talked about putting our lid.
Now, I notice you have another bucket over here.
Yes.
Is that full?
I don't know. I haven't checked it yet.
Let's go look at it.
Let's go look.
Let's
Yeah.
go look. It's this way.
Yes, that way.
Okay, we're going this way now. Well, everybody, we've walked on over to another tree that was tapped actually a couple days ago. And now Sarah is going to open up the top here, and we're going to see exactly how much sap was accumulated in 2 days. Sarah?
Great. So we've had the right weather conditions. So, oh, look at there.
Oh, yeah. Almost half a bucket full.
Excellent. And it's dripping nicely. That's exactly what you want to see. A nice steady drip from the tree.
Well, you know what's amazing about this is the fact that it's clear. It looks just like water. It's really pretty amazing. So if you follow me on over to our next stop, we're going to show you exactly how we boil it down and get maple syrup. Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate you showing this to us today.
You're welcome.
All right,
It's been
and
fun.
yeah, and you know what? I'll see you next time I come up.
Excellent.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. It's good to see you again, Marianne.
You too.
Hey, folks. Well, here I am. I'm at the Kinney Farm, and it's pretty noisy in here. We're inside the sugar house, and this here is Marianne Kinney. Isn't that right, Marianne?
Yes.
Yes, Marianne Kinney. And Marianne makes maple syrup from the maple sap that comes from the maple trees, the sugar maple trees. And she's going to tell us exactly how they take that sap and turn it into maple syrup. Now, I heard usually on a smaller operation, the sap from the bucket, you would boil it down a few times, like 3 times to make it into syrup.
Well, it depends on the equipment. If you have equipment that can do it in one shot, that's better. The longer it's on the heat, the darker it gets, and most producers want a lighter, clear syrup. The faster you get it on and off the heat, the better.
You know, I know you have light, medium, and dark.
Yep.
The way you get those different colors is based upon.
It's a combination. It's a combination. It's the heat. The longer it's on the heat, the more the color will change. But it's also the quality of the sap. So early in the season, the sap actually has a higher sugar content than it does later in the season.
I just left the Aldermere farm and I was talking to Sarah, and Sarah was showing me how you tap a maple tree.
Yes.
And you know how an apple orchard, a bunch of apple trees is called an orchard, and I know I learned that the maple tree is called a bush.
Yes,
And her maple bush is kind of small, but you have a very large maple bush.
we do.
So you're not like taking a bucket like she does, and the
No.
sap goes into her bucket. Okay, exactly how many trees do you have?
We are tapping about 8,700 taps. We're almost 9,000 taps.
Wow.
Most of those are single tap trees. We have a very young sugar bush.
How do you get all that sap into your sugar house?
We have over 70 miles of tubing that run through our sugar bush, and all interconnects, and then every drop comes right into the back room of our sugar house.
Now I have a question about this boiling and getting the water out to get down to that maple sugar, maple syrup. I know you have a sugar house here, and smaller operations, they have a sugar shack. Now, my question is, why do you have a separate building? Why don't you boil down the maple sap just in your regular building?
Sap comes in around 2% sugar. Syrup is at 66% sugar. So there's a lot of water that leaves. 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. All that water evaporates. If you do it inside your house and you have a wallpaper in your kitchen or even painted walls, you won't have any wallpaper or paint left by the time you're done making maple syrup.
Okay, well, that's a good reason to have a separate building.
Oh yes.
So, you have all these pipes, and so you tap your tree, but you have them go through the piping, and the piping goes downhill into this sugar house.
Yes.
And then what happens when it gets to the sugar house?
Well, we have 2 releasers that pump the sap as it comes in. It pumps upstairs. We have 6 1,500-gallon tanks that collect the sap for us. 4 of them we use to collect the sap, and 2 of them alternate. Sometimes they're collecting sap if we have a really good run, especially overnight. If it doesn't freeze overnight, we can still collect sap so that we can sleep through the night. We'll open up 5 tanks, and sometimes even 6 if it's a really good run of sap, so that we can come back and then boil it the next day.
So from this tank, it goes down into this sugar house.
Yes, after the collection, we bring it back down into our reverse osmosis, which will actually take out 3/4 of the water for us before it goes to the heat of the evaporator.
Oh, I see. So, okay, it goes to the evaporator, which is a big machine,
Yes,
which looks kind of like a locomotive.
it does. We've nicknamed it Percy from Thomas the Tank Engine.
So you turn it on, and I guess you would switch on some type of a valve so the sap goes through a pipe into the locomotive.
Yes. Yeah, we have all kinds of different pipes throughout our sugar house to connect those 6 tanks and our evaporator so that we can switch which tank comes directly to the evaporator. The concentrate from the reverse osmosis goes back upstairs into one tank and then comes back down into the evaporator where the sap gets boiled, and that's when the color change happens, because sap is clear like water.
So yeah, I know, I saw some sap, it was amazing. So it comes into the pipe, and it goes into the locomotive, the evaporator machine,
Yes.
and then what happens?
Our evaporator has 3 parts. We have a steam away where it preheats our sap, brings it to about 200 degrees. From there, it goes down into the flue pan of our evaporator, where most of the evaporation occurs. From there, the sap flows by convection. The heavier the liquid gets, it moves forward through the machine. And it goes into the syrup pan, and from there we filter it.
How do you filter it exactly?
Well, we have a filter press, which needs a filter aid. The filter aid is diatomaceous earth.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and that is actually what does the filtering. We put the powder into the syrup, and the filter press takes all of that powder, and that's what actually filters the syrup.
I see.
And all that powder comes back out in the press, and then on the other side of the press we have beautiful, clear, amber, liquid gold.
And then basically, then it dumps into barrels.
Yep, as we boil it down, it all goes into 40-gallon stainless steel drums, which we then, because they're packed hot, it's coming off the evaporator at around 220 degrees, and we leave it until we need to either bottle it into syrup or make our candy or our cream or sugar or...
Well, let me stop you right there. Let's talk
Sure.
about the candy. You make candy.
We do.
Okay, how do you make the candy?
We make the soft candy, or we call it molded maple sugar, and it's a process. We take finished syrup and we boil it down further. We're taking it to about 242 degrees, at which point we then take it off the heat and put it into a candy machine. So we can have the hot syrup in one part of the machine and then let a little bit at a time come out and get stirred. Because once you stir it, it becomes the candy, and we pour it into molds. We make well over 2 tons of candy a year
Oh,
in
wow.
our sugar house. We're not doing a small amount. We don't stir it in the pot and then just pour it into a mold. We have to stir just a little bit at a time, but we boil a big pot. We'll do
So-
about 1.5 gallons at a time.
So that sounds amazing. So, do you have any of that candy, that finished product, after you made the candy?
We sure do.
Okay, well, can we try some?
Absolutely.
All right, where is it? Where do we go?
We're going to head right over this
That way.
Yes.
That way. All right, let's go.
Okay.
Marianne, where's the candy?
Right here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Pure maple sugar candy. That was great.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And we'll see you next time on the Children's Corner.
Cheers.
Where do you go